Hello and welcome to this sellability video. I hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be going through when not to buy a product when you're analyzing to sell it on Amazon. Okay, so all I've got here is just a checklist of things to be aware of when you are doing your analysis, whether it be on the completed searches in sellability or using BuyBot Pro. So I've got my trusty whiteboard here with me and we're going to be going through each of these points together. So first things first is bad profit and ROI. So something that's very self-explanatory there. You're not going to go ahead with something if obviously you're going to make a loss. If it's something you're going to sell for your break even or for, not very much profit or like, I don't know, 5p, something like that, just not worth it. So bad ROI and profit, no. The next one is if it is a private label listing. If you try and sell on a private label listing, you can get into trouble. So it's one to avoid. If there is a heavily dominated buy box, so let's say, for example, Amazon this also works as well if the buy box isn't being shared. So if Amazon are not sharing the buy box, you don't really stand much of a chance of securing it. Therefore, the amount of sales you make on that listing is going to be very low. Or if the buy box is being shared, you want to make sure that there is a good distribution of it amongst the sellers on that listing. And what you also want to look out for is the type of seller that tends to secure the buy box most often. So you want to determine if Merchant Fulfilled has better luck with the buy box or if FBA does. So something to look out for. Obviously, if you're seeing that it's not shared around very much, then there's not much point in joining that listing, as you're not really going to win the buy box. If someone's had it 99% of the time, chances are that ain't going to change anytime soon. You can try if you have a good repricer like Profit Protector Pro by your side, but again, it's a bit of an uphill battle. So that's when you will probably not want to go ahead with the product. Very inconsistent sales, and this goes hand in hand with very inconsistent BSR. So this basically reflects obviously the sales and the popularity of that product. And obviously if the BSR just isn't it, if it is a bad BSR, if there's also hardly any sales for that product, then if you join it, you'll end up in the same pool and you just will end up stuck with stock. It won't move unless something drastically changes, but obviously the chances of that are not very high. So if it has bad sales, if it hasn't got a great BSR, then it's probably not one to go ahead with. The next one, and this is really important, IP issues. Okay, so basically if the brand allows the reselling of its products on Amazon by third-party sellers like you and me. Okay, if there are IP issues, we need to avoid that product. There is no two ways about it. That brand is not allowing reselling of that product. We can't go ahead with it. If we do try and sell that product, then that is a ticket to suspension. We don't want anything bad to happen. So the next one on the list is if you're not eligible to sell. So if you're gated in a certain category, it's not something you can go ahead with right now before you are ungated. Okay, so if you are gated in a specific category and you do want to sell in that category, you want to sell that range of items, and my advice is to get ungated in as many categories as you can, because it means you have more choice with what you sell, and you have the option to switch up the categories that you sell in. You can sell in multiple. It just opens up the playing field a whole lot more. So making sure that you're eligible to sell. If you're not, there's no point in going ahead with it right now. But if you are wanting to, then how you get gated tends to be buying a certain amount of that product, keeping all of your invoices, everything to do with purchasing that product, and then showing that to Amazon. And that is how you can get gated. Obviously, in terms of specifics for each category, check in with Amazon. They will have criteria and a list of things that you need to do in order to get gated within that category. But obviously, if you follow all of that, then job's a good one and you can proceed to sell that item. So eligibility is one that can be changed. But if you're not looking to get gated in that particular category right now, then there's no point in going ahead with that item. Okay, last one on the list is if there's barely any competition. Okay, and the reason why I say this is because if there's hardly any competition, there is a reason for that. So could it be that the item is just very, very, very inconsistent? In which case that would explain it. It could be that that product has had a history of IP issues, because whilst IP issues can disappear from products, they can also appear on products as well. So if that product has had a history of IP issues, it's probably not one to go ahead with. It could be that any sellers that are currently on that listing right now and it does have an IP issue, maybe they weren't aware of it. So don't join them in that listing and get in trouble with an IP issue. It's the same as what I mentioned earlier. It could be that the buy box is heavily dominated by one particular seller. So every other seller has analysed that and gone, no, I'm not going to join that because I'm just not going to get the buy box. So there's a bunch of reasons as to why there may be only like 2 sellers on a listing. And it's not a private label one. So when you are looking at items and they have, a small number of sellers on that listing, I would say you want at least 3 or 4 to be on the safe side, minimum, just so that way you would be safe to join that listing. If there's 1 or 2, then chances are there is a reason why there's only 1 or 2, and they won't be good reasons. So you want at least a minimum of 3 or 4 on a listing in order to basically be safe if you were to join that listing. So that was my list. Hopefully that's given you a good idea of things to look out for and things to avoid when you analyze a product. If you want to find all of this information out in the easiest way possible, my top recommendation would be to get yourself BuyBot Pro, because it will show you everything you need to know about a product and more. So that way you can avoid bad products. You will know which products are good. You'll be able to basically see everything you need to know about a product and then some. So BuyBot Pro is the one. Sellability will show a bunch of these things as well. So just make sure that you check for all of this stuff before you actually go ahead with an item, because it will save you money. It will save you, potential suspension issues and things like that. So avoiding things like this is key. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you soon.